job, Ben and Alec. You guys did so good. Way better than run-throughs. You guys did great job. Cutting in and cutting out a little bit. We're gonna do a mic switch. Here, Ben, let's switch. All right, how are you guys today? First off, we just want to thank you guys so much for coming out. That you would take time out of your day to come here and just connect and learn all about life groups and the direction we're going is so huge. I'm going to pray for us, and then I'm going to talk just a little bit about how we're connecting with students, in a couple ways we connect with students. Dear God, we just thank you so much for today. We thank you for bringing every leader here, God, as we prepare and train to reach more students for you, Jesus. Help us to go in with an open heart and bring every student that we can to midweek, God, in your name, amen. I am very excited for midweek. I think small groups is so important for a healthy ministry, right? Like, small groups are really the heartbeat of what we do. And so I just want to give you a few ways to connect with students, but I want to remind you guys how important you are. You might see some people on the stage and some people behind the scenes. Some of you guys have a group of 5, some have a group of like 20, and you're like, I need more leaders to split this up, right? But you guys are so important. We cannot do everything that we do without you guys. And some of you guys serve even on Sundays as well, some just Wednesdays. Whatever your role is, we just want to thank you and show how valuable you guys are. That's what nights like this are all about. So thank you for tithing to the church as well. That's why you're eating Chick-fil-A. And so thank you so much for that. But yeah, I want to give you guys just a few ways to connect with students. The first one is it seems super simple. My good friend Grant has a little hard time with this one. I told him beforehand I was going to pick on him for it. But knowing students' names. Who finds it hard to remember people's names? All right. I do as well. Thank you, Grant, for being honest. But knowing people's names can be more challenging than it sounds. But I think if we understand the why, then it helps us with the what. And so if we understand why knowing someone's name is so important, we're going to put a little bit more attention to actually memorize it, right? I think of this story in Luke 19 where Jesus called this little man named Zacchaeus. And he said, Zacchaeus, come down from this tree. I'm going to your house today. I just remember the Sunday school song. I didn't read before I came up here. So I'm just thinking of the Sunday school song. But Jesus calls Zacchaeus by name. Names are so important because attached to names is value, right? If you study names, if you look at names throughout the Bible, there was so much value attached to names. Actually, one of my best friends from theology school, he was one of my best men at my wedding. He became like another religion. And in his religion, they had to actually change their name to a saint's name. And some people, there's so much attached to our names. It shows so much value. So that's just the first tip, the first tool I wanted to give you guys. Whatever it takes, memorize their name. Because a student might walk into church for the first time, and if somebody goes out of their way to know their name, they're like, wow, I feel valuable. I feel like I'm at a place where I belong. And so whatever it takes for me to how I memorize people's names is I follow them on social media. That just helps me to put a face to a name. Maybe it's you doing something funny, just taking a selfie with them, and you can now write on like your phones on the pictures and write their name or something. Whatever that helps you guys remember someone's name. Let's try our best to know every single student we can's names, because I promise you, they are going to go home and they're going to remember when you remember their name. The second thing I wanted to share is know about their interest. Know about their interest. It's one thing to know their name, but when we actually know them, their interest, what they like, it becomes so much easier to connect with them, right? Whenever I meet a student who's wearing like whatever sport they play, I instantly go talk to them and ask them about that sport. Oh, like what position do you play? Who's your favorite team? Because I love sports. And so for me, that's just a way to connect because I know their interest. And now we can build this this bond, this connection, get to know each other more. And that conversation can continue to go deeper and deeper. So know their interests, know what they like, what they don't like, right? Because to them, especially students, that matters. Knowing their name, knowing what they like, their parents' names, what their parents do. I picked up a student today who was helping us with some videos. And I asked him, what do your parents do? And he's like, oh man, like nobody's asked me that question before, right? And that was just me trying to get to know more about that student. What's your parents' names? Tell me a little bit about your family. Oftentimes, those conversations can actually go really, really deep. And now they're sharing things that they haven't really shared before. And you're building trust. That's what we want to do with students. You guys are you're not just like a babysitter to them. You are pouring into them. You're investing into them. You're helping students know how valuable they are. You're allowing them to share their story and who they are. And then the third thing, just know what they can do. I get a little frustrated, as a pastor, I get frustrated when I hear people say, students are the future of the church. And I stop them and I say, no, they're not the future, they're the now, right? Like, I think it's incredible. I love this church because I love walking into worship for high school and seeing high school students on stage leading worship. Like our worship leader for high school and middle school is a high school student who leads these services. I find that amazing. We have students, I'm gonna pick on Tia here tonight, taking pictures for us so that we can remember moments like this. Like students are not the future of the church, they are the now of the church. They can do things now. They can volunteer in different ministries. We have a few high schoolers here who are serving as 5-6 leaders because they're not the future of the church, they're the now of the church. So know what they can do. We used to say this thing called I see in you conversations. Hey, this is what I see in you. This is what I see that you can do. Now, my job is to coach that student to even higher levels than they thought they can get to. So know their name, know their interest, and know what they can do. And let's help them reach their goals and dreams. And that's how you get students to buy in to this relationship with them. The most important thing we can do is love students where they're at and point them to Jesus. That's why we do this. That's why we take time out of our day. And we're like, I could be doing so many other things, but I love students so much, I'm willing to do these things. Know their name, know their interests, and know what they can do. So I'm going to invite my friend Grant to come up, who is going to go through some more things. But thank you guys so much for all you guys do.
I love how you brought that book up here with us, like with you. Did you touch it?
I was going to show it, but then I just didn't.
No, man. Are you serious? It's staying right there. Hey guys, if you don't serve in the junior high ministry, or if I haven't met you yet, because I don't think I've met half the volunteers in the junior high ministry, my name is Grant. I'm the new junior high guy. To tell you just a little bit about me, because if you don't know who I am, you don't, like, why would you listen to a stranger? So my wife and I, we met at GCU. She's a second grade teacher at the Alhambra School District, and she absolutely loves getting to love on those second graders, and they all terrify me greatly, even more than junior high girls do. Before coming here for 3 years, I was a college and young adult pastor and an associate campus pastor at a location at a church called The Crossing in Central Illinois, about 4 hours south of Chicago, 3 hours north of St. Louis, in the absolute middle of nowhere. And so if you have any type of like connection to that region, I would love to talk with you because most people have no idea where I'm from, but that's totally all right. I didn't have Chick-fil-A till I was 17. That's how like middle of nowhere I live. We're the closest Walmart within 45 minutes, like seriously the middle of nowhere. So with that being said, I want to reiterate what everybody else up here has said is thank you so much for all that you do. I say this from the perspective of somebody who gets to benefit from the ministry that you have all already done. So if you are a 5 and 6 ministry leader, thank you so much for the students that I get to inherit and for the work that you put into them and the prayers and the difficult conversations and the crazy, wacky, fun events. If you are currently a junior high ministry leader, thank you so much for what you have already done. And I can promise you that I'm going to ask you all the time, what is it I can do better? Constantly, because I want to continue to grow. And if you're a high school ministry leader, cool. All right. So when I was in 6th grade, I got a small group leader by the name of Bill Buchanan. Where I come from, junior high ministry is 6th, 7th, and 8th, and Bill Buchanan is one of the most important people in my life. He led my small group for 3 years, and I grew up in a household with a single mom, and my dad, like, he was around, but he was like the fun dad. He wasn't like the I'm gonna raise you to be a man of God dad. In the small town that I'm from, there's a local university, and it's one of Playboy. The company's called Playboy, right? That's not the company. I can't remember the name of the company. What is the name of the inappropriate magazine company?
No, you're right.
Playboy? Yeah, so it's one of Playboy's top 10 party schools in the country. Crazy sorority, fraternity culture, absolutely insane. And my dad owned one of the premier alcohol establishments in that community. And like I said, he was a fun dad. But what my mom had a hard time finding for me was a guy who would like teach me how to pray, or teach me how to tie a tie, or teach me how to talk to girls and not be weird or offensive. You get what I'm saying? And Bill Buchanan became that guy who, through praying with me, talking with me, being there in my life, he played a role that God intended for fathers to play, but because he decided to give up time out of his own life and his own evenings and weekends to go to lock-ins, crazy events, and trips, he was able to be that for me. And so many of you get to be that for somebody, where God intended for that to be their mother or their father who is that figure in their life, but they're not. And so I don't want you to ever underestimate how important it is that you fulfill the role that you do in their lives. So with that being said, it's been a while since we've all led small groups, right? It's been like 6 months, a whole pandemic has happened. Technically Easter has happened since the last time you guys led a small group. Like, things are crazy. And so what I want to talk about is kind of a lot of the content that you're going to find in that leadership booklet that's between pages like 20 and 25. And we're not going to go through all of it, but I really want to encourage you to be super intentional and to care enough about your students to look at that content. There's a ton of useful tips and tricks in there, but we're going to go over a couple of them super quick because I think they're really important, and I want to reiterate this as we head into the year. So, first tip and trick, silence wins. Every single time you break the silence after you ask a question, you condition your students to assume that you're going to talk first. And they're sitting there and they're thinking, even if they don't look like they're thinking. And you're just going to wait them out because you're an adult and you're capable of doing that. Please do that. Because every single time you ask a question, even if it's super awkward, you know, like when you go through group and then the last couple are kind of tough, deep questions, and you just kind of fill it in real quick, don't do that. Silence wins. And also pressure will eventually force somebody to say something. Praise participation, so that way silence isn't an issue anymore. Praise participation, but with that, be honest. If somebody gives an answer that's the wrong answer, it's the wrong answer. Now, like, with love, have a conversation and talk about that and ask questions. Value the fact that they participated. But what you need to constantly be doing is creating a space where students feel like they can talk, but they can also be corrected safely. Be prepared. I got to be a junior high small group leader when I was in high school. And you know what I never did? Feel the weight of what I was doing to the point that I actually was prepared for the conversation. If you're serving, I'm only going to speak for the junior high team. If you're serving on the junior high team and the first time you've seen the content is 5 minutes before you're about to lead a junior high small group, you're already starting behind. You're already missing out. And I think that's true for every single ministry. That, like, you care enough to do this. Care enough to do it exceptionally well and to be prepared to go through the content. Lead and listen. If you do most of the talking, your guys and girls won't do any of the talking. This kind of goes with breaking that silence. Your role is to facilitate a conversation and to guide and to like rebuke and to correct in that area. but make sure that these are conversations that they're having so that they're equipped to have the conversations in small group so that they can have similar conversations with their peers in the real world. Clarity. I was that kid that rambled. We jokingly called them grant rants. I would just get up, I would spew a whole bunch of useless information, and then people would be like, yep, man, thanks for talking, and then I would walk away. You're gonna have students who are super confused, who don't really know what they're saying, who don't really know how to answer the question, but they wanna participate. And what you need to do is one, be like, hey man, I'm so glad that you decided to say something, super proud of you, but constantly be asking questions, actively listen, and participate with them. I call this a so what. Whenever a student makes a comment, this is what I tend to do. I'll be like, hey guys, does Jesus love you? And a student would be like, yes. And I'd be like, that's really good. Instead of saying, well, help me understand that more. Continue to have conversations that cause the students to think critically. So what next? And try to facilitate that conversation. Be goal-minded as you lead your groups. Most of the time, we don't have a goal in mind, and so we don't actually take the students anywhere through the conversation. We just go, man, Wednesday was fun, but we didn't really accomplish anything. We weren't goal-minded. There's gonna be weeks where there's something really pressing. Someone in your group loses a loved one for the very first time. And there's opportunities for that, for you to go, hey, this week it's really important that we just talk about them and their struggle. But what cannot happen is we all show up and we go, hey man, we are super excited to take kids deeper in understanding righteousness. And then it turns out that there is a small group who's just sitting there talking about all the different boys that the girls have crushes on and how do I ask out a boy. I'm generalizing, but you get what I'm saying. Be goal-minded. There's a reason behind everything that we're doing. I'm gonna go ahead and skip one for the sake of time. No, I'm not. Safe place. Can I tell you guys something real quick? And this also just goes for junior high, but if I find out that you're sharing information about a student that would be classified as gossip if students were sharing it, you're gossiping too, and that's a sin, right? I want you to feel the weight of when students choose to share information with you, and you just saying, oh, you would not believe what so-and-so said in small group today. I need you to know that's gossip, and it's a safe place, and we need to honor the fact that they're willing to share information with us. Now, if the student is at risk, come to us, let us know, and we'll have the conversations that need to be had that are associated with that. But I need you to understand that gossip is gossip regardless of how old the student is. And that's out of bounds for the people of God. Presence over perfection. If you're in this room right now, you made a commitment to be there for students. Be there for the students. You don't need to have all the right answers. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be present in their lives because there are people in their life, like my father, or like maybe some of their parents, where they need you more than you understand. And if you were fortunate to grow up in a home where both of your parents loved Jesus, you've been blessed with something far beyond measure. But presence matters so much. So if you can't be there, I need you to know to the student, it's a really big deal, even if they say that it is not a big deal. So they told me that my job was to come up here and tell you about all of the rules, about all the things you should or shouldn't do as a small group leader. And I don't want us to overlook that, because a lot of this is going to be common sense. They also decided to kind of make me the bad guy. So you just met me, and now I get to tell you all the things you can't do. But it's super important, and I'm going to get to that at the very end, because I don't think we realize just how much influence we have at times. So a couple of things. When it comes to communicating with our students, there's kind of 4 things I want to discuss real quick. 1, keep digital conversations. If you're having to delete student conversations, whether that is through iMessage or through Facebook, you're probably not having conversations you should be having with students. Phone calls at appropriate times, I think that's a given. And also most students probably, you're gonna text them anyway. Social media, no alcohol, no nudity, don't post politically divisive statements online because the church is the hope of the world and we should be unified. Also, you should not be Snapchatting any students. You just shouldn't be. It just isn't wise, it's not above reproach, and it doesn't really set us up to win in that area. The reason this is important is because we're all called to a higher standard, and the quickest way you can get in the way of the ministry that God is doing through you guys, through us as leaders, and through Cornerstone is by defaming the church and kind of living shamelessly in that way. Now we get to talk about fun stuff. Let's talk about sex. Yeah. Hey, yeah, there's no like ... to make it kind of promiscuous. All right, hey, if you're not married, don't do it. Don't do it with someone that's not your wife or your husband if you are married. Don't do it with someone on the screen. Do not watch or make porn, hashtag OnlyFans. Do not visit or work at strip clubs as a side hustle. All right, you're back there laughing. I gotta tell you, there was this girl I dated, not even dated, I went like and got coffee with once in college, and she sent me her link to her OnlyFans. Like, it's a thing. And I'm kind of being funny, but I'm also being serious. There is it's a trend right now with high school students to be like, hey, I'm gonna sell you pictures of my feet. So, yeah, if you're married, enjoy it. If you're not, God's way is the best way. Online activity. So, we're the church, and we're supposed to present ourselves in unity. Do not be posting any politically divisive posts or try to mix politically divisive posts with faith-based content. Jesus wouldn't be a Republican and he wouldn't be a Democrat, and we're just all about building God's kingdom. So let's not do any of that. Don't be posting photos of yourself holding margaritas in a string bikini while you're on vacation. I'm so glad you enjoyed vacation. That is not the place to share that content because your leaders can see that content. That goes for men and women, just so you know. We will be having a conversation with you. Attitude matters. I'm super new to this job. I have 3.5 weeks of junior high experience. I do not know everything. I plan on being humble and teachable. I hope that we can all be humble and teachable because the mission is way too big for our arrogance. Do not get involved or pick sides when students are fighting. My pet peeve is when there's like infighting between students and small group leaders pick sides. You're above that. Don't be petty. You hated drama when you were in high school. Why are you getting involved in their drama? Dress code. If you got it, flaunt it. Just kidding. Don't actually flaunt it. I should have probably taken this a little bit more seriously. But yeah, guys, dress appropriately for activities. Be modest. Be aware of how you carry yourself and be aware of what you're wearing. Yeah, I shouldn't have to go further. I'm not above having conversations, but I shouldn't have to. Alcohol and drug use. If you're underage, this isn't a conversation. If it is federally illegal, it's illegal for everybody. So that kind of covers the marijuana conversation. And don't get drunk in public. All of those rules are super obvious, super obvious, and I shouldn't have to get up here and talk about them. And then when hi Alec, thank you for paying attention to my conversation.
It says don't get high in
Public. Can I do it privately?
Anyway, so what we're gonna this is why this is super important, because everything I said, you're like, duh, Grant, they're just having you talk about all the obvious stuff. So, Bill Buchanan is one of the most important people in my life. When I was in 8th grade, in February, my grandmother passed away from Lou Gehrig's disease. And like any 8th grade boy, I don't know how to communicate my emotions. So my mom called Bill. That's what my mom always did. He's going to a formal, he doesn't know how to tie a tie. Could you come over and show him how to tie a tie? And then he gave me a clip-on just in case I took off my other tie as a backup tie. Hey, Bill, can you come over and show Grant how to shave? He cut his face a whole bunch and it looks really bad. Yeah, he can come over and do that. Hey, Bill, Grant's grandma passed away and he's acting like he's fine, but I can tell he's not fine. So he took me out for Mexican food, but like Midwest Mexican food, you get what I'm saying? Like it's just slightly above Taco Bell, it just takes longer to get to you. And we go out and we have a great conversation. He shares the truth about sin, good and evil in the world, the gospel, God's plan for restoration, and in March, I get baptized. Late April, we're at our midweek programming. It's kind of a smaller church, so we do junior high and high school all together. And service is great. It's fun, we enjoy it. It's almost like the start of summer, so we're all pumped about camps. And they do the super upbeat camp announcement, and then the music cuts off, and our junior high pastor comes up and says, hey guys, before you go, Bill wants to talk to you. And Bill, with a handheld, walks up, and he's kind of looking down. His face is red. He's crying. And he does this thing where like he looks up and he tries to like not make eye contact with any of us in his small group, us 8th grade boys. And he proceeds to let us know that he was in a car accident on Friday, the Friday before, and he got a DUI. And that he could no longer serve on the youth team. Bill let us know the Wednesday before that Friday, so 1 week ago, that he was going to be moving up to be our leader through high school because he was so excited to be in our lives. And one careless night that led to a careless decision to drive that led into him crashing into a stop sign that turned into a DUI and an arrest disqualified him from being the man in my life that I truly believe he should have been. And there are students in your lives that you care about a lot right now. And you're thinking, I would never do anything that dumb. But when you make the decision to be on this team, in any ministry, you are building relationships with students that are going to matter for so long, because every single one of you, you've got a coach, a teacher, a small group leader, somebody in your life who had no reason to actually be invested in you, looked at you and said, I care about you and I want to be involved in your life. And the quickest way you can destroy a relationship with a student is by not carrying yourself like the person that God called you to be. So carry yourself well, because the influence that you have matters and is far more profound than you will ever realize. Natalie, it's your turn.
That's going to be hard. Come on, that was a really good time. Let's hear it for Grant again and Matt, big grades. So I have the easy job of just going through a couple things. It's going to take me 5 minutes, maybe 10, I don't know, it just depends. But I'm going to go through the cleaning process that we have, especially for this new semester, okay? We know that we're going through this whole COVID thing. It's new for everyone, and I know parents have concerns, and I know our leaders have concerns, and they're totally okay. And we just want to be there for everyone, okay? So there are a couple things that I want to let you guys know that we're going to be doing this new semester. So if you guys can go to page 13, that's where you're going to see the cleaning process. First of all, masks are, it's not on there, but masks are going to be, we do ask our leaders to make sure you guys wear masks, and our students as well. I do not like wearing masks. I hate wearing masks. It's annoying, especially if it's hot, and I totally understand, but we do, let me tell you this way, what's more important, the mask or our students? What is it? Anyone? Our students. If our students are more important, then we can handle the mask for 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half. Okay, so bring your mask. Let's make sure that our students are wearing their mask as well, just to be safe. For the parents to feel safe, for them to feel safe as well, to allow their students to come. Okay. Another thing for leaders, if you're concerned about this whole COVID thing, please come reach out to Matthew, to myself, to Ben, to Grant, Caitlin. Ask us, whatever it is. I know I have about 3 volunteers that are concerned. They're concerned about, how many students are we going to have? I don't know. If that's a concern for you, we'll work with you. You know, if the space is too small, I don't know. Let us know what you are needing, what you feel comfortable with, because honestly, we want to work with you as well. If you're not concerned about details like that, then that's fine. But if you do have any concerns, please talk to us, because we care about you and we care about our students, and we want everyone to be safe, especially this season as we're going into winter, okay? Are we clear on that? Yeah? Mask? Yes. Okay, cool. And another thing, no food is going to be allowed in the rooms. I know. We love bringing food. Everyone go, it's so sad. It's so sad, I know. We cannot bring food anymore, especially the B building, especially this room. So we have kids that use this room on Sundays. They use the rooms over there, high school main auditorium. We have kids that use those rooms. We have kids with allergies. We cannot leave any food on the floor. You might say, you know what, I'll vacuum. Yeah, you don't want to risk it. What if there's a kid that comes on Sunday that's super allergic to peanuts? You happen to bring peanuts that Wednesday, they eat the peanut, and then the kid is not in good shape after that. You don't want to do that, okay? So do not bring food into the B building and main room. Student center, maybe, but let's just do no food at all. If you want to bring food, they can eat it outside. We do have a snack shack. They can eat out there. Another thing, cleaning. You're responsible to clean after yourself after every life group every Wednesday. We will have buckets, we'll have some cleaning supplies, some rags, whatever you need.